We'll let some people get on here. A little bit after 8 o'clock on Tuesday, December 13th. Supposed to pick my boat up today and I forgot all about it. So they said it's done. Kind of gonna go talk to them and see. I think I talked about it a little bit last time. It's looking like there's a known issue with the Camus gas tanks that's messing up the fuel gauge, the digital readout, where there's some I don't know, I guess it's fiberglass that somehow gets spider webbed down into the gas tank, which is interfering with the float. So I'm thinking that's probably could be what's wrong with mine. Sweet. I got 3 electronics going, so now I can do some stuff on my laptop, check stuff on the website, and I can see comments on my Android pad. No, we're gonna update all this. Hopefully some. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them to the best of my ability, and they will be my opinions, my thoughts, no one else's, nobody that sponsors me, anything like that. I'll try not saying anything mean or derogatory. I mean, depends on what the how the listener takes it. You know, I will try to voice my concerns on tournaments and stuff like that, just so that the tournament directors can know that there's might be some issues or some complaints, or maybe even suggestions on how to do things better. Yeah, you can hear that. That's my wife. She's got the 2 oldest grandkids. Since she works at Home Depot, she's always coming home with a bunch of the kids building things. I think Home Depot right now has some, I guess they look like little trains they can build, like a little train ornaments. I mean, they're still probably, I don't know, 6 to 9 inches long. Pretty dang big ornaments. But she's finishing up. And then I think they have something else. Those were pretty flat and looked like she was hammering something square. But she's always getting a bunch of that stuff. Unfortunately, you know, my office is a bedroom. You got the living room right behind us, and then the kitchen and stuff over there in the corner. Kind of open concept, but we also have a little fenced in area for my wife's dog. So he can come inside and then run outside if he needs to. We got a little doggy door on the back porch. I can go down the stairs and go in the backyard. No. Not trained yet, like Delta. And he's pretty dang hyper, and he seems to want to chase the cat, so we can't trust him out. Yeah, if you can find some room, Zeke. Right now we got a lot of Christmas stuff. And then I still got some stuff to unpack and hang up. So there ain't much room here. Had to wrap my wife's presents real quick. So I mean, I got enough room for my office, my desk, and to work. And that's all I've been doing. So kind of working on HH stuff, creating programs for cost and percentages off and all that stuff. And then having to add and subtract things, but I knew about the new reel coming out. HH, we got a new reel. The KE 1000 is going to be replacing the KF 1000. And it's going to be $49. Obviously, the outside design is a little bit different. And tried to, listen to our customers. There was a couple issues with the KF 1000s. A lot of it had to do with the bill. And I don't know if it was just the way they put it together before they shipped it, or if it's just something that just worked loose, but some of the washers and stuff inside the bill weren't seated correctly, which allowed the bill to move side to side, which is something I'm going to have to look at my 1000s and check them out and see if that was the issue. And hopefully I'll have a couple more back in working order. So fishing shows, man, we're like a little under 3.5 weeks away from the Let's Go Fishing Show. It'll be pretty exciting. I haven't been to the Let's Go Fishing Show in probably 4 years. I know they had it last year, which wasn't too bad considering still a lot of people worried about COVID. They didn't have it in 2020. Say 22, 21, 20. Yeah. But anyway, they had it last year. I don't think they had it the year before, and then they had it year before that. But either way, it's a pretty good show. It's kind of right there in the middle of America. It's a good time. They already got the schedule out of who's speaking. Actually, let me pull it up. I can tell you who's speaking. A good thing is it's just not a crappie. I mean, a lot of guys bass fish and catfish, but it is a lot of crappie speakers that's going to be there. So you got Jerry Hancock, which is on our HH Reels Pro staff. He's going to be speaking during the weekend. Todd Huckabee, pretty sure he usually always speaks there. But I know he's usually there with the Grizzly Jig booth, or actually they usually have a room. Looks like Patrick Stone's going to be there. And then, of course, the Green Machine, Jack and Holly Linton. And I think that's it, crappie-wise. And they got two main rooms where they're going to be speaking at. So then you got, they actually have a Jim Lucky Beatty speaking on muskie, Adele Helgeson on walleye, Chris Bates with razor rods on trout, Matt Quinn on high tech outdoors. So I'm not sure exactly what he's going to be speaking on. Ben Goebel for catfishing. And I don't know if that high tech outdoors, if that's is he going to be talking about equipment, or if he's actually going to be talking about something else, or that's, you know, I don't know if that's who his sponsorship's through. Dallas Spurgeon, Tri-State Trolling Motors, and then you got the bass side. You got Jeff Millsop with razor rods, and the big one. Trying to make sure I didn't leave anybody out. I you probably heard my wife yelling. But the big one's going to be Bassmaster Elite 2022 Angler of the Year, Brandon Polinick. I think he was there the last show I went to. I never did get in there and listen to him speak. I don't see Mark Menendez here. He's been there before at the Let's Go Fishing show. So it's pretty good, pretty cool for them to be able to get some well-known speakers, you know, well-known in the industries. So, but that's going to be January 6th, 7th, and 8th at Let's Go Fishing show in Collinsville, Illinois. And then anybody around the Cincinnati, Ohio area, I'll be there the weekend after that. I think I'll probably stay on the road and maybe go try to get in some bait shops. And yeah, so I got a list of bait shops in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. So we can probably hit a few on the way up. We got 3 days in between the shows. No point in running 7 or 8 hours back home just to go 12 hours back to Cincinnati. Oh, there's the shows. The Cincinnati one's going to be the January 13th through the 15th in the Sharonville Convention Center. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's actually, I think, on a suburb of Cincinnati off of Chester Road. But you can put in Sharonville Convention Center. It pops up. Mitchell Buds, yeah, I mean, pretty much, pretty much year round. I think black crappie with their smaller mouths eat smaller types of food. You know, you got your little shrimps and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily saying that they will not eat bigger fish. And then, yeah, for the most part, most people catch them casting them to them. Brush piles, they get a little spooky. Also depends on the type of water you're fishing. I mean, like when I won the Classic last year on Lake Hartwell, you know, I fished 2 muddy areas, and we straight vertical fish the black crappie, and we'd drop their bait on them, and we were using 1.5-inch bait on a 16-ounce plain mad crappie jig head. But we dropped it straight down on them, and then we would have to hold it there. They would turn up straight up and down, just like I've seen here in Kansas and a lot of other places, and on whitefish. And we just had to hold it there until they decide to bite. But I think the majority of times, you know, casting to them is probably the better success at it. You know, I guess if the water's murky enough and deep enough, you can straight vertical jig them. But I think black crappie are more like the bass, where they're usually moving. They like chasing the bait and stuff like that. But no, I caught, I don't know if it was pre-fishing or during tournament, but I had about a 3-inch minnow that I caught a black crappie on at Dell Hollow. So I think it was pre-fishing, because I think it was right after I caught a smallmouth, and I think I was I thought maybe it was another smallmouth or something, but I mean, just because their mouth are small doesn't mean that they're going to have necessarily go for small baits, or won't pass up a bigger bait. I mean, I've seen it at Cabela's in Kansas City, where they have a bunch of black crappie in there and they feed them goldfish. And I think as long as they can fit in their mouth, they're going to try to eat it. So I think a lot of it's just depending on where they live too. But like a lot of people are showing here this last month, you know, what we're talking about, where crappie are eating other little crappie. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting to learn to cast a little bit more. And then of course, you know, I mean, still with my War Pig, I can get out there, you know, 20, 30 feet pitching it. 40 feet if I open the bill. So, or really 60 foot. I was casting at Dell Hollow with my War Pig. Quickest way to break down a lake is Google Earth, Navionics app, or any other type of app you have for the lake. Do your research before you go pre-fish. So, like right now, I mean, if I wasn't doing on my phone, wasn't doing the video on my phone, I could open up my Navionics app and look at a lake, see the contours. Obviously, right now it's winter time for most of us. So I'm going to be looking at shallow and deep. You know, there's still fish, especially at Truman Lake, that'll live up in the rivers pretty much all year round. And we have a lot of success this time of year fishing in the rivers, throwing a bobber and a jig to the bank and just reeling it back to you. That's from a boat. Heck, I think right now, if you can get to the rivers by foot, you could probably just have a long pole and jig around into the stumps closer to the bank. I mean, those crappie right now can be in 2 or 3 foot of water. But you also want to have maybe some deeper spots where they might congregate a little bit more. Obviously, it's all going to depend on where the bait fish is at, and you know, there's so much shad and stuff in most of these lakes that they're going to be spread out too. You're going to have your deeper shad, and you're still going to have the ones up shallower, where they're trying to get warm by the sun. living on the surface or what have you. But yeah, 2 or 3 days. I mean, I'm looking at my maps, trying to pick out a couple of spots I want to check. The first day, it's usually either my first day of pre-fishing. It's one of two things. It's either I stay in one area and I see how much weight I can catch and see if it's going to be worth having something like that, or I'm moving around a lot and checking a bunch of spots to see what I can find. You know, I mean, you might have an awesome plan going in day one. You go to your first spot and there's nothing there. But at the same time, you know, you might catch a big fish and then you got to go a little bit further before you catch another one. You know, you're not always going to hit your first spot pre-fishing and find a mother lode and be able to save it for tournament day. Especially tournaments. I mean, you know, my boat's sticks out pretty well, so I'm starting to learn to check a bunch of stuff, whether I fish it or not, just to, you know, unfortunately there's a lot of people that pre-fish by other boats, which, I mean, I can't say it's not against the rules. It's, you know, it's something I'll be looking for, you know, honestly. You know, if I'm fishing somewhere and I see a bunch of boats and I'll catch some good fish, you know, I mean, realistically, that's probably a good spot to be fishing. But at the same time, you know, you want to be aware of your surroundings, and if there's 20 boats in that area day after day pre-fishing, you know, it might not be that good of an area because it's being overpressured, and it could either, those fish could be sore mouth or overpressured. Honestly, I like trying to find spots where I don't see that many people. It's just so much easier not having to share fish. And hopefully if you find that spot, and if you go back and look, you know, once a day, you know, or different times of the day, and you can kind of see who's fishing over there and who's not, you know, it might be a good spot to at least start off the morning, because they're not going to be so finicky. It's a lot that goes into tournament fishing. I mean, you want to probably have 3 or 4 spots at least, just in case something happens, for backups and whatnot. But like I think, you know, I mean, to win a tournament, you got to have a lot of things go your way. I mean, with the amount of competitors fishing tournaments nowadays, I mean, you got to not only be on your game as far as your boat and electronics and your fishing, as far as getting the bait on the fish and presenting how they want it. But I mean, you just got to have a little bit of luck too. I mean, there's times, if you're chasing spinning fish, I mean, there's times where I think it's kind of luck that you just happen to run into some swimming fish at the right time at the right place. And, you know, we've done that a few times in some of our wins. You know, Lake Fork back in 2019, we made a decision right before the storms came in that won us the tournament. I mean, if we wouldn't have moved there, for the 30 minutes before that storm hit, or if we'd have got there after the storm, I mean, there's no telling what would have happened. I don't think we'd have won the tournament, honestly. I mean, we upgraded 3 or 4 of our fish in that 30 minutes. And of course, catching a, you know, 311, I think it was, you know, helped. And then having a 250 to go with it. But like Crappie USA at Lake of the Ozarks this year, you know, Michael had found some fish in the shad, you know, had great weight, you know, better than what I could do the one day I pre-fished. So we started over there, and they weren't really there, and we moved across the creek into a shallower flat, and those fish were over there, and we won the tournament off of it. But there's no telling. I mean, we might have started there the first 2 hours on that shallow flat, and those fish might not have been there at that time either. you know, they could have been moving. So I think unless your name's Hayden Jeffries, you got to have luck to win a tournament. I mean, that kid's got enough skill where he doesn't have to necessarily have that lucky 1 or 2 catches in a tournament. But I hope that answered your question. But I think 3 days is pretty good for pre-fishing. You know, I think that was one of the questions I had before was pre-fishing or not. I think 3 days in a 2-day tournament, I mean, that's 5 days of straight fishing. You know, most of us, we don't have the money just to spend on the gas, hotels and entries and all that and not worry about it. I mean, you know, a lot of us spending at least $2,000 as a team to go fish. You know, it's stressful. I mean, you know, that's quite a bit of money. And then, you know, you want to try your hardest to try to finish at least with a paycheck. And really by the end of those 5 days, I mean, you're stressed and wore out from the physical and mental part of fishing. You know, I've heard Hayden say that, you know, he's going to take a few days of rest after a tournament. So, you know, you can imagine the stress mentally and physically on a 22-year-old compared to somebody like me that's 45. That's physically broken down from 20 years in the military. So I'm trying to learn not to fish 12, 14 hours in a day pre-fishing. Try to save my energy a little bit. Has a lot to do, I think, with confidence. You know, this year pre-fishing, I was not confident at all at most tournaments. You know, I mean, I think my best pre-fishing was at Hartwell last year when I found those fish in one creek on the Sunday before, and then especially on the Wednesday when I found another pocket that was holding some good fish. I thought for sure that, you know, I knew that Sunday before that we were going to get top 5 if I could stay on those fish all week. And then Wednesday when I found that second spot, I mean, it helped a lot, and I really didn't fish much the rest of the week. Didn't have to. I didn't want to catch the fish that I was wanting to catch during the tournament. So all I had to do was just keep track of them. And that's what we did. So some other news, the National Crappie League, they're planning on releasing the schedule this week, I believe. They want to get everything finalized and contract signed before they do it. I think mainly they're waiting on one tournament. And I actually talked to one of the owners, and one of the things was it's going to be on Easter weekend. So they got to look at the dates and everything. Hopefully it'll come out. It should come out this week. So add another national tournament trail. It's going to provide more opportunities for fishermen. You know, people like me that fish 20 plus tournaments a year. And then also, you know, like I said before with National Crappie League, there's going to be 2 divisions. So the Division 1, you know, I mean, it's going to keep a lot of us that have made $5,000 or more over 2 years or have won a national tournament from fishing those. So, I mean, I think that'd be great for a beginner tournament fisherman to enter in, see where they stand. But they also have the Open Series, which is open to everybody. And so you can, anybody can join the Open Series and fish. I mean, if you're wanting to learn tournament fishing, besides your local trails, I mean, entering in 1 or 2 national tournament trails, you're going to get a lot of information. I mean, just even on the water. I mean, there's times this year that I just happened to be a few of us fishing together, and Hayden Jeffries happened to be there. And there's times I just sat there and watched him, while I was looking down at my live scope every once in a while trying to find a fish. I'd sit there and watch him and see what he was doing, trying to learn. If I can improve my game, which obviously, if you're not winning every tournament, there's something you can be doing differently. And, I'll just watch, see how he's going about maneuvering his boat and what he's doing, pitching and all that stuff to try to learn. But then, at the weigh-ins and all that stuff, most of us been in this game long enough. We'll take time to talk to you and, let you know. If you got any questions, we'll answer them. And kind of like what I'm doing now, we'll kind of, if you got questions, we'll kind of answer to the best of our ability. What's up, Aunt Gigi? Yeah, Jason, I mean, you always got to have something for everybody. I mean, it's just like the bass tournament trails. They got your Joe Bass, like Joe Bass on Truman Lake. It's, I don't even know maybe $100 entry, I think. But, you get 200 teams, there's 20,000 for the pot. And then, you move on up. You got your, second tier before your elite series. So I think you got to have that in crappie too. You got to allow some of these people that work a lot and don't fish very often, but still want to try to compete. You got to give them an avenue to do that, where they can fish, couple to even 20 tournaments. I mean, between Crappie USA, their amateur division, and the National Crappie League with their Division 1. I mean, there's 2 trails with quite a few tournaments for the beginner tournament fishermen to compete against each other in. And then, as they enjoy that and like that, then, you might see more and more of them move on up and trying to compete at the higher levels, and then trying to qualify for the Crappie Master Elites even. But you do have Crappie Master Elite, where it is, which I think still it's one or live bait. But I mean, it's even the American Crappie Leagues going to the Major League Fishing style, where it's catch, weigh, and release. So I mean, that provides a different opportunity for other fishermen too. Seem to have a lot of positive feedback on that from some anglers. Like I said, it might bring some anglers back into the game. Your normal spider riggers that just don't care to use live scope, pullers, crankbaits, planer boards, all that stuff. But that'll be coming down. Hopefully more information will be coming out. And then, of course, with the American Crappie Trail, there's opportunity. If you're just a beginning tournament fisherman and want to learn more, you can sign up to be a marshal for their tournaments. And you're actually getting a boat with the fishermen. And be able to see how some of us go through our tournament day. You know, they had that last few years with the Wally Marshall tournaments, having marshals on the boat, and those guys getting to be, to me, it's just, you're getting a lot of information. I mean, you're right there. You're getting to see how everybody goes through everything. You get to see the ups and downs, the decisions and all that. All right, John. Yeah, I have a lot of Spike It Outdoors products for not just color, but even for just the scent. They got garlic, shad, a bunch of different other options, you know, even some for the bass. Yeah, Jason, I mean, that's something that they got to work through, getting the marshals to volunteer. I don't know. We got free entries to it, so we're going to be fishing them. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know how much filming or anything they're going to be doing with the Merritt Crappie Trail. I'm going to try to get my GoPro set up this year to try to film more of these tournaments from the angler standpoint. Play around with some different things. You know, I got the chest thing to put it on my chest, one camera on my chest. I have 2 GoPros, so you know, I can set one on my windshield, one on my chest, and go like that. But I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, is putting them up and start recording. The thing that I got to get to doing a better job of is going and editing them and posting it. It takes a lot of time to edit a full day of fishing if you're not smart about it, and I get too tied up in my fishing and I forget to stop the camera or start the camera. So while I'm waiting on questions or comments, H&H Rods and Reels, got some new rods coming out. I already talked about the reel, the KE1000, but the rods, we got the 18-foot Assassin, designed by Lamar Bunning. Not going to give you no dates because I don't know, and we're still working on adding a pre-order to the website. So, but just be aware that right now the major release, I think, is expected around March of next year. But depending on what goes on with the economy and shipping and anything else, as you've seen before, you know, we had a big shipping issue. That could get delayed, or who knows, we could actually get them early for a change. But, so the 8-foot Assassin, it's been designed by Lamar to be more fishable by holding it than what the original 18-footer, you know, of course the original 18-footer is designed for pulling jigs and stuff behind the boat, where this 18-foot Assassin is going to be designed to be able to hold and fish all day. So that's going to be cool to see. I know a lot of people this year bought the 18-foot pulling rod, and I know me personally, I fished with it in tournaments, so it works. It's, of course, heavier than my War Pig, but you know, if you're chasing fish and you want that longer reach, it definitely works. We're also coming out a new series called Eye of the Storm. It's going to be a fiberglass rods, and right now they're going to come in 8, 10, 12, and 14 foot. So this is going to be a cheaper rod that allows, you know, people that just don't fish that much during the year an affordable way to be able to fish and still have a pretty decent rod. You know, obviously I shared a piece out on different materials between the graphite and the carbon fiber. You know, same thing, fiberglass. It's a different material. You know, I mean, it's more readily available, which makes it cheaper. It's not as strong, you know, as you move on up from fiberglass to graphite to carbon fiber. So it's not going to be as strong, but it's a rod that can be used every day. You know, it's probably what the Crappie Max, Bass Pro Crappie Maxes were made when I first started fishing. And then my first sponsorship, that's what their rods were made out of. So, we're going to offer that line. There is talk about maybe adding a 6 foot to it and putting a reel to it, and offering them as combos. We're still talking about that and deciding if that's an option for H&H to go down. You know, you have a lot of rod and reel combos for 40, 50 bucks that, you know, a lot of bait stores like buying and sell pretty well to the people that go fish on a weekend and you know, whatever happens, they break a rod or they just weren't planning and they stop at bait store and need a rod and reel combo, and it's quick and easy for them. Yeah, Dave, appreciate the feedback on that. I'm definitely glad I met you and was able to get you a War Pig in your hand. And yeah, I definitely think the 18-footer, you know, I'm looking forward to getting the Assassin and you know, between the War Pig and Assassin, having it on Grenada, you know, will give me definitely plenty of options to choose from. And then my War Pig series, you know, I've already field tested a 12-footer. It's a good to go. So it's going to come in mid-seat and rear seat. It's going to be a limited supply starting out just to see, you know, what kind of interest we have in it. I know I've heard a lot of people wanting to buy it, but also it's, you know, the IM and carbon fiber mix. So it's, you know, we're keeping the same material, so it's going to be the same strong material as the War Pig, which obviously makes it a little bit more expensive than your normal IM graphite rods. But, you know, I mean, plus, you know, we got to look at the business side. There's a ton of rods on the market right now with your 12-foot length. You know, the mid-seat handle should still be long enough if, you know, people can use it for many options. Just like I think the 13-foot mid-seat, you know, if people want to spider rig with it, they still can do that and all that. You know, I've already proven at Dell Hollow you can cast with the 13.5-foot rear seat. So, you can do it with the mid-seat too. I think it'd probably be a little bit easier casting that longer rod with the mid-seat. But so the good thing about a lot of our rods is they're multi-use. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. I mean, even the Storm Surge, you know, I mean, it's mainly a casting dock shooting rod, but you know, I mean, if you're deep water or brush piles, I mean, you can vertical jig with it. And then coming out with the 7-foot 6-inch War Pig. That's going to be on the, you know, obviously the higher end of casting rods. But again, it's going to be the same material. I have a prototype. Of course, I don't have a boat right now, but I got to get it rigged up, and plus all my actually all my Pro Series 1000 reels are in my boat right now at the marina. But I should, you know, I think my boat's done. I just got to go pick it up. So I got to get my rods and some baits out of my boat. And at least go to the bank or something and try casting out and seeing how it feels. And then giving them any suggestions. And then compare it to the 8-foot pulling rod that I've been using casting. You know, obviously I think we need to probably adjust the cork handle a little bit. I think it's a little bit too long where the reel seat is. I don't know. I gotta see if I want to shorten it altogether or just move the reel seat down some. And with that too, it's probably gonna be limited supply. So 12 foot and a 7.6, probably about 100 the first order. And we're also gonna try to get some pre-orders on the website for it too, so we can see. I mean, obviously, you know, the Assassin and the 12 and the 7.6 War Pigs, if they, you know, get pretty good pre-orders in, then we'll either try to up the order or look at ordering earlier for those rods next year. HH usually put in about 2 orders a year. And then we got some good things in the works for the future. Looking to try and do some distributor shows and stuff like that. So that way, you know, bait stores pretty much come to us instead of us having to call or drive around and visit them. Get our name out there a little bit more. And then right now I'm still working on getting all these videos onto YouTube. So I'd like to get them on YouTube, and that way if anybody wants to watch them again and listen, they can. And then also trying to figure out a good time to do these lives. I probably need to advertise a little bit more. That way people know that I'm going to come on here and speak. You know, they might be able to text me or message me any questions they have ahead of time, instead of just surprising you guys. But yeah, I said 2023 was going to be a pretty good year. It's starting to look like it's going to be. There's some more information coming down. I don't know how public it's going to be, but there's some stuff in the works about trying to build some sponsorships like Bass. Trying to make it where individuals can possibly make fishing, crappie fishing, a career. You know, where they can fish tournaments and not have to worry about the money, the expenses of gas and hotels and all that. And then, you know, maybe only have to do some side hustles or guiding to provide a little bit more income. You know, I mean, there's a lot of guys that fish tournaments that do guiding outside of tournaments that are very successful for their income. And there's a lot of people who just don't fish tournaments and very successful in guiding for their income. You know, it's primary source and do very well. But this new stuff coming down will hopefully give some anglers the opportunity to not have to worry about any expenses for tournament fishing. But and then hopefully that'll come about this 2023 season. But I'm excited to be part of that, and we'll see where that goes. You know, it was brought up by an individual that's not in the tournament scene, but you know, he didn't have to do it, and it looks like he's doing it to help reward the crappie tournament fishermen. Well, that brings me to the sponsorship stuff. You know, I've covered it a few times, but you know, I think for sponsorships, again, you know, you could be the best tournament fisherman, but that might not translate into sponsorships. You know, obviously these companies are looking at, you know, number one, in my opinion, is going to be social media now, and it's going to be social media in the future. If you're not putting yourself out there, acting at least like a normal human being, if not very professional, you know, you have to at least be willing to work with these companies and help them on the social media side, sharing their products or their content or whatever they're requiring of you. You know, I think if you want sponsorships, you need to go to those companies and ask them what you want, what they want from you, and then, you know, be able to provide information on what you can do for them. You know, I mean, you can't just you know, really go out there and say, hey, you know, I want to be sponsored by you, and I want you to pay for my entries or give me cash or something like that. For one, if they don't even know you. For two, you know, they're going to be like, well, what are you going to be able to provide me? And, you know, I think a lot of companies are hesitant on providing a bigger package of sponsorship, like your entries paid, or, you know, your lodging paid, or, you know, anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000 in cash or whatever, you know, because they don't know what you can provide them. But if you can show them, you know, on your social media side, you know, your tournament angling side or guiding side, or, you know, what have you, you know, that you could be a valuable asset to their promotions, you know, that'll help you in the long run of getting sponsorships. And then, like, for HH, you know, definitely starting 2024 season, we're going to be doing contracts that lays everything out, what's expected on both sides, so there's no questions, and it can be tracked and measured, and HH as a business can decide if, you know, somebody's worth keeping or not, you know, for their business. I mean, you know, it's just facts of life. There might be some great people or great anglers or great guides, but if it doesn't translate in sales for HH, then, you know, it's not going to work on our side, and then vice versa. You know, I mean, if HH isn't providing what an angler thinks it should for them, then, you know, once that contract ends, then it's just not going to work out. But, you know, I like going into the season knowing what I'm going to get, and what I can expect for the new year. And the biggest thing, if you don't have a contract, nothing's guaranteed on either side. So I really try to push any of my sponsorships to try to provide me a contract or something written down that, you know, I can have to know what I'm getting going into 2023. And then again, you know, I usually ask them, what do they want from me? And then throughout the year, you know, I try to ask them, am I giving you enough? You know, let me know, you know, critique me and provide feedback to me, you know, of how I'm doing for you. You know, I mean, to me, it's going to be very rare in the crappie fishing industry to be able to get major sponsorships just on your tournament angling or just on your face and your image. And I think most of us crappie fishermen in tournaments or in guiding, you know, I mean, if we hear about a great deal somebody's got, you know, we're kind of wondering, like, well, how did they do that? How did they get that? You know, even me personally, you know, I'm like, well, how do I get onto a major electronic sponsorship deal? Because I don't have one. You know, I'm not with any of the 3 major brands, Lowrance, Humminbird, or Garmin. And, you know, I'm still like, how do I do this? You know, how can I get there? And it's a work in progress, you know. I mean, and then, you know, I mean, a lot of times the anglers don't think about the outside the crappie fishing industry either. You know, I know Clay Gann and Todd, you know, they got a lot of sponsorships that aren't related to crappie fishing. And I'm assuming that those guys help them pay for their ability to fish tournaments throughout the year. And, you know, they thank them at every tournament. So, you know, and you can do that too. I mean, you know, it's a company looking for social media presence. And that's one way is to get is, you know, through a fisherman. Let's see how. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything. You went over our first 2 shows. Looks like Let's Go Fishing Show will be in booths 20 and 21. And I'll post a picture later on of the map of the layout. It doesn't have all the sponsors on there. We have Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio, and Fort Worth fishing shows. Those are being ran by the National Fishing Expos. NationalFishingExpos.com. You can go on there and you can look at each show. You can see all the attendees. Let's see what happened. Maps went away. Probably need to refresh. If you go to there, let's see if I can do this right. So NationalFishingExpos.com. I went to exhibitors. Here's the Cincinnati show. So it'll show you the map, the layout. It's got all the booths. You know, got the whole thing. But what you can do is you can go to the exhibitor list. You can go down here and pick out which one you want to see. So we're working with Crappie Monster this year for all of our shows. So Jeremy's been coordinating all that. Well, you can see there, click it, you can see the size of booth. You can see booth number 201 at the Cincinnati show. You can see the dates, the times. But what's cool about this is you go of course I won't do it because the map's covered up. But normally if it's not covered up, when you hit the list, let's see. Actually, don't hit it. You just go over the top of it. So if you go through here, it'll highlight what booth they're in. So that's like Cincinnati Youth Bass Club. So it highlights it there. And then you can see their booth on the side too, 408. So that's how you do Crappie Monster is right underneath it. So that's how you do that. You got Bluff City Outdoors. I don't know what that is, but it's a big, giant booth. It's, and of course you can select on it and see the booth size. And it's a 16 by 40. So, but those 3 shows, you can go in there and look and see all that. We're not doing the Kansas City show. Columbus, Ohio show, same thing. You know, you can either highlight over them and see. So we're in booth 325, a 10 by 20 Crappie Monster. And then the Fort Worth show. Oh, Columbus, Ohio show is going to be February 10th through 12th. There's the times for the shows. And then the Fort Worth show is going to be in March 17th, 19th. And we are right there. Booth 820. 10 by 20. The cool thing is 2 of our shows are located next to either seminars. I think they're both seminar areas. So should be high traffic areas. And then also if you're thinking about going, let's say people are wanting to do, there's some companies in Texas, you can see the available booth list. So Fort Worth show still got a lot of available booth list. And then you can see where they're at. You can see there's a bunch up here in the top. That's highlighted red. And like this 10 by 10's down over here. So if you're a company and you're looking at still doing some shows, you can check them out. Cincinnati show, got quite a few people. Quite a few companies already signed up. But there's still some booths still available. And I don't know if this is up to date either. I mean, there might be some already waiting, just hadn't been finalized yet. But that's at crappiefishingexpos.com. So if you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Kansas City, Missouri, or Fort Worth, Texas, and even if you're looking at going to a show, you can see who's all going to it already, who's already paid for a booth. So I mean, it's pretty cool. Be awesome if all the shows were like that. I don't think Let's Go Fish Show. Like I said, they got the mapping with the booth numbers, but I don't think they actually have the interactive like that, where you can see what all companies are going to be there. Yeah, they don't have anything. Well, Brian, I will be there Friday and Sunday. So Let's Go Fishing Show Saturday. I have both my sides of Christmas, my side and my wife's side, at Clinton, Missouri on that Saturday. So I will not be there that day. It's so hard to schedule for everybody to get together for Christmas, so we're actually having it a couple weeks after Christmas. But to me, it's always good to have be able to do something, get together for the family, and something for the kids. Seems like a lot of family, you don't get them together unless it's at a funeral or a wedding. So better time than get everybody together for the holidays. But other than that, I think we're over an hour long. I'm going to try to keep these at an hour. And again, if you guys got any questions for the next live feed, probably, I don't think I'm going to do one this week. Probably next week sometime. Probably try to do it next Wednesday before everybody starts doing Christmas things with families and all that. So probably the 21st, I think, will be my next live feed. So, you know, tournament season's starting to be right around the corner. You know, starting in January with Crappie USA and Crappie Masters. Or, yeah, Crappie Masters. So you have 2 in Florida, Crappie USA, and 1 Crappie Master in Florida. And then the last week of January is going to be American Crappie Trail in Darbone. So between the shows and the tournament season, it is kicking off here in 3 weeks. So with that, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.